Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, pause this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. In the context of this podcast, everybody refers to us and our cat. You are free to feel however you want about Rand, who is a fictional character. Don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
What are you Googling exactly? Does long boy mean you have a big penis?
I'm just gonna Google long boy and see what happens.
I think that's even worse.
Long boys are chewy candy sticks.
Ah, your claws. Chewy candy sticks.
Long boys, Urban Dictionary. Woo.
Great. Urban Dictionary is, as we know, the academic source everyone's been waiting for. Come here.
A tall, thin male. Apparently, their example is that Waluigi is a long boy.
I thought their example would be Slender Man.
No, there's some whole nasty definition about sex at the top that doesn't even reference long boy. Long boy is a very long blowjob, usually lasting a couple of hours. An extremely tall and skinny male.
What the fuck was that noise? I've never heard this before, so what the fuck is that noise? Something happening in our apartment complex.
The male organ of copulation.
What a horrifying way to say dick. What? No, this is a sin against God. I'm sorry. This is a sin against me, personally, because I had to hear you say those words with your human mouth, and I had to hear it with my human ears. No, I don't want to hear it from you anymore.
Okay, but it was so funny.
No, it's not.
The male organ.
No! I'll kill you. I will kill you for saying that. I'm blacklisting that phrase starting now. If you ever say it again, I'll just say moist at you.
See, I don't feel like I hate moist as much as
panties.
I do hate the word
I was trying to remember which word you hated.
I absolutely loathe.
Most people hate moist.
I absolutely loathe the word panties.
So I will say
okay, I will respect your wishes.
Welcome to this. I know we're usually not safe for work, but this is a particularly deeply and disturbingly not safe for work episode.
My stomach hurts. I've been laughing too hard for a whole 5 minutes. That was so funny.
Finally, a funny cold open. It's our first one in
72 episodes.
72 episodes.
I don't know if they'll find it funny. I found it funny.
I think people find it funny as long as you find it funny.
I know. My laugh is so much.
Well, your laugh is contagious. That's the point. Oh, my dad's having a surprise half-birthday party on Sunday if you want to come. Okay, that made it sound like my dad is hosting his own surprise half-birthday party.
Would.
Yeah, totally. That's big Chris energy. He would definitely do that. But no, we are actually surprising him because every fucking June 23rd, he gets home from whatever he's been doing and texts the group chat I see none of you wished me a happy half-birthday. So I'm disinheriting you all immediately. And we're all like, what?
Oh my god, I'm gonna, at 12:01 on June 23rd, hit that send. I don't even have your dad's phone. I'm gonna steal your phone.
That would be even funnier if you just sent it from your phone number.
Yeah.
No context, like a horror movie. He'd
Let's
be delighted.
Happy half-birthday!
Happy half-birthday, Chris. My dad is the biggest drama queen of all time.
I mean, that is true. You see that man, you're like, there's no way that man's dramatic, but then...
Yesterday he was smoking some meat.
A joint?
As he does. No. What the fuck? He was using his meat smoker to smoke meat. Chicken, particularly. And was, it started raining a little bit. And so he disappeared, and I was, just chopping cucumbers, minding my own business. And then he comes back wearing this is not a joke, he's got his big raincoat on, a whole apron, you know, not like a waist apron, a whole apron, but like it's my mom's apron, so
Amazing.
it's got like these, you know, in the curls font, it says something like that some lady gave to my mom, and his atrociously ugly yellow baseball cap.
Right.
Like mustard yellow baseball cap, and his reading glasses, and it was just.
Do you have a photo?
I don't. He was moving too fast. He was like a
cryptid.
Yeah, he was a blur.
Suburban
getting
cryptid.
to the meat to put the meat thermometers in. Okay, I feel like we've checkmarked all our typical jokes. We've talked about my dad, meat thermometers, troubling euphemisms for the word dick. Actually, I don't even... Is it even a euphemism if it's just, like, the most explicit form of the word?
No.
Yeah, what is that? Anyway, this is Everybody Hates Rand. Your friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Jushaw.
And I'm Sally Goodger.
And here we are to talk about possibly the sexiest thing Macathon has ever done.
I know.
That's a very sexy scene. I don't know how to...
No, it was really working for me. I was reading it and I was like, damn.
It's because he's so tired, also.
He's just, like, ready to eat the rich.
He's tired and hungry and angry at people. He's like, I'm gonna murder this dude. And it's just so cool. I love Matt.
Everything Matt does is really sexy, though.
I know, but that is like a particularly... That might be one of our top 5 sexy Matt moments.
Ooh, that's a fun list for us to create.
Like 6 of them happen... Like 4 of the 5 happen in this book.
Like 6 of the 5 happen in these last couple chapters.
There's blowing up the Stone of Tears.
Which is obviously number 1.
Number 1,
I'm sorry.
peak sexy.
Yeah.
Beating Daywin and Glad might be number 2 sexy.
Yeah, that is a really good one.
Now I have to think of all the other scenes and all the other books, though. Nothing from book 1 or 2 is particularly sexy. Matt has no sex appeal in those books.
He's a wasty boy.
Yeah, he's full Gollum.
I do think when he, like, makes his whole army kneel to Edwin, that's a pretty sexy
That's
moment.
a very sexy moment.
Yeah, when Matt's, like, on his knees.
Even sexier, possibly, than blowing up the Stone of Tear for me is when he... Yeah, Sally just made the motion because I talk about this all the time because it really does it for me.
Yes,
when he
very hot.
Snatches the Gollum's knife out of the air when it's thrown at him. That is like...
Whew.
What the fuck?
It's like getting me a little hot thinking about it.
I know, I'm like...
Especially because in our playlist, What Kind of Man by Florence and the Machine is playing.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, he just, like, whips a knife out of the air. And also, when in book 5, I think, when he's with the maidens and he, like, closes his eyes and, like, throws a knife at something and he's, like, totally
at the very
blasted.
beginning of book 5 when he's just fucking wasted and is just dancing, capering around the rim of a fountain.
Yeah.
He is so wild.
Yeah, the knife catching is hot.
It's also pretty sexy when he's running out of Ruidaean with Rand, like, immediately after being hanged, and is, like, real sweaty as he is.
Yeah, and
is just, like, limping along, being
Matt.
Having had his peak Odin moment.
Yeah.
There's also some very sexy moments in the Tower of Genji. Wait till you get there. Those are like, oh, okay.
Why is Matt so hot?
I don't know. How did Robert Jordan tap into my specifics? Yeah. Or maybe Robert Jordan in this series molded my sexual desires
I mean, it's like
bit.
the chicken or the egg, you know?
Yeah. I was 13 when I read these books.
Okay, but, like, Matt comes out just this, like, weird-looking boy with, I imagine, very beautiful hands.
We've already told you about how weird-looking boys are obviously better than...
Hot boys.
Weird-looking
boys are the hottest boys, actually.
Exactly.
It's just science.
It's why everyone's into David Tennant. David Tennant is not a traditionally good-looking man, but he is just weird-looking enough.
I know, that you're like, all right.
He's also very... I've been watching Broadchurch recently, and he's very hot in that. He's just like this tall, thin detective.
Listen, we also all know that height equals horniness.
He's not even that tall. I looked it up. He's like 5'11". But he just looks
not as tall as Gaul.
He looks extremely tall in Broadchurch.
Yes.
It's like my dad. My dad is extremely skinny, so he looks taller than he is.
Yeah.
Same with David Tennant. Also just...
weird looking.
We can't keep talking about this.
Let's just talk about men that we find attractive. Matt. David Tennant.
We're just talking about fictional characters?
Sure.
Because I specifically find the detective in Broadchurch sexy.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, Diego in The Umbrella Academy. I'm big horny for him.
He's really hot.
Yeah.
That is a conventionally attractive man that I'm like, yeah, I get it.
But he's also got little scars on his face, and it's like, I'm into that.
Scars are a whole other level
I
of
can't.
sexy that we just can't get into. Where was this energy in episode 69?
I know.
Why are we so
weren't
horny
sexy
today?
enough. We're having a delayed... This is a delayed,
gratification. Wink, wink. I want to say Ronan Lynch, but he's like 17 in those books, and that makes me a little uncomfortable.
I can't really be sexually attracted to any canonical teens.
All the boys in Finnegan of the Rock can get it for me.
Yeah, I was pretty down with Finnegan in that first
Not in the
book.
first book.
Yeah.
I like book 2 Finnegan when he's like softened up a little bit. He's not so like male angst.
Sally and I have a fundamental difference in our opinions of book 1 Finnegan. That he annoys Sally a little bit.
He annoys me quite a bit.
Okay, he annoys Sally a lot, and I'm just kind of like, yeah.
I get it. His arc is important in that book, but it fundamentally...
No, like,
me a little bit.
academically, I totally agree with you, but
Yeah.
as, like, a weird person who's attracted to him, I'm like...
No, he's objectively just, like, a hot, tall ginger with
boy,
a sword
yeah.
who's like, I love books and my dad. I'm like,
Exactly.
I love you. Who else am I horny for?
That's a good question. Too many books are about teens.
I know. Too many of our books are about teens anyway.
It's very upsetting. We should probably talk about the chapters or something.
Okay. This is what happens. Edwina and Nynaeve are fighting. There's a bunch of mud, and Matt does a murder.
Oh, yeah, well, that covers it. That leaves us the next 35 minutes to just chat. What's going on with your life?
I'm very sleepy.
You're still wearing your name tag, which
Oh.
does sort of point at a
Uh-oh, spaghetti-o.
emotional
I guess I'll just
exhaustion.
leave it on in case you forget.
Oh, if I forget what your name is. Who is she? Where am I?
I have a coworker whose name is Gethin, which is not a normal name.
We've talked about Gethin so
Oh, that's
fucking
right.
often on this podcast.
Gethin, my obsession. I
Yeah,
love
we all
this
love
boy.
Gethin.
But he he tells me this on the regular. He's like, I get so stressed out when people know my name, and I always forget I'm wearing my name
That happens to
tag.
me too.
Yeah.
Legitimately. Also, people keep, one time I was in the back clocking out while my coworker was clocking in, and this old lady who completely fell in love with me this last week, because she was there for like 5 days, she ended up giving me like a $20 tip. She's just, I don't know,
The
really
real
into
MVP.
my customer service or something. But while I was in the back, she was like, is Emily here? And I was like, how does she know my name? And then I was like, oh yeah, I have a fucking name tag.
I know. I have a name tag and people continually don't look at it. Like I said hi to a board member who's there pretty frequently and who I've introduced myself to no fewer than 5 times at Rage to Hatch, and he was like, who are you? And I was like, cool. Fuck you.
Men can perish.
Yeah, he's a banker, so like, what did we expect?
Yeah, oh yeah, all he sees are dollar signs instead of people. Just like...
How much could I sell this woman for?
It's a little like Matt, actually. Matt
How much could I sell this woman for?
Matt, like, I picture Matt going through, like, houses, and it's kind of like some of those HGTV shows where, you know, they're showing you the home and trading space and, like, the price of the item pops up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that happening to Matt every time.
That would be so fun in trading spaces.
Matt would be hilarious in trading... Okay, who would he trade spaces with? Perrin and Fail?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay,
but it has to be the fantasy where Matt has a male partner. Matt and Galad and Perrin and Fail. Spaces.
Can you imagine? That actually works because Galad and Perrin now have like a semi-relationship. Like they're friends by the end of the series.
Yeah.
And
then they're like, this is my angry partner.
Galad would be like the sanctimonious, like
Yeah.
preppy, like I am going to die if they do anything weird to my house.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I hope they wallpaper it with clowns just to piss off Galad. It would be fucking hilarious.
But I feel like Perrin would do such a good job because he's a good builder boy, and Matt would just like put things together with glue.
Oh my god. Can you imagine? They're like, they have some like dumb, you know, hunter theme because it's Perrin, and Matt's just like gluing antlers to the wall.
So whenever you walk past them, they just fall off.
And the designers are like, what are you doing? And he's like,
Perrin will love this.
Perrin will love this.
And then cut to 20 minutes later, Perrin loves this.
Perrin's like,
dead animals!
whoa.
Okay.
I know, we really have to talk about the chapters.
Okay. We're getting into it. The scene opens day to evening. We're on a boat. Edwina is vomiting.
I don't think she's actively vomiting,
she's
but
trying
she
not
does.
to rest.
Yeah, she does immediately tell us how much she's been vomiting, which is what I love to read at the beginning of a chapter.
Yeah, I'm
just
like,
love an update on how recently someone's vomiting. Just to start every chapter, as far as I'm concerned. With 6
hello,
days
Macathon
since
here. Been 6 days since I vomited.
everyone in the dumb series vomits, except maybe like Perrin. Perrin never throws up for some reason.
Too straight to throw up.
Fuck me. Yeah, Edgewine's all like, we've both been, me and Nynaeve have both been very seasick, we're both miserable, Nynaeve's down below Ralphin, and Elaine is with her, because Elaine is weirdly maternal, at least in these, Elaine is hard to dislike in these 2 chapters, because she's somehow the least annoying of the 3 women currently, which is shocking, to say the least.
Yeah. Shocked and appalled, honestly.
Yeah, but anyway, they disembark as they're pulling into Tyr. Edwine gives the whole, since this is our first time coming to Tyr with a point of view character, we have to describe it in detail, and it's just a flat city. Some of it is in the walls, and some of it is outside the walls, and outside the walls it's just muddy and gross. And everyone's walking around in, like, platform shoes, because it's actually pretty interesting, the, like, tying the clogs.
Yeah.
It's, I know we've talked about how maybe Tyr is, like, Spain or Italy or something like that, but it does give very, like, Southeast Asian vibes in this, very, like, Singapore-ish. Especially in terms of what people are wearing, like these baggy pants that are tapered at the ankles, and some people are wearing like vests or coats over bare-chested, and the conical hats, woven hats. It's a very cool aesthetic.
It is a very cool aesthetic. And I had one addendum to the aesthetic, that I want the platforms to be as high as Spice Girl platforms.
That would be cool. How high are Spice Girl platforms?
Baby girl, you about to have your life changed.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about the Spice Girls, obviously.
I'm sorry we have to Google so many things during this podcast.
Well, it's just fine. Google Things with Sally, our podcast within a podcast.
Rude. Fucking rude as shit. I hope you perish.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you can really see it in this one. Here, this is the ad for their shoes.
Whoa, that is pretty, yeah.
They're not as high as I remember them being, but they're still pretty gnarly. My older sister had a pair of them. They were funny.
Woof.
Okay, we're back. That apparently wasn't a very funny bit. I apologize.
No, my mind is blown. I'm just thinking about this. How do you walk in those, you know?
I don't. Like all shoes designed for women, it's meant to limit mobility.
That's true. You just have like a big fucking weight on the bottom of your feet.
Have you seen the Alexander McQueen Lady Gaga, the shoes that Lady Gaga always wears?
The like
like crab claws? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I think we saw those in the Alexander McQueen exhibit.
Yeah, in Savage Beauty, that's right. Those things are crazy. I feel like your foot just has to be
and I was like, ugh, I hate that. No offense,
that.
Alexander. Like, I like the aesthetic, but...
But, like, you're gonna put a human woman in those?
Yeah, Alexander. No. That's bad. Alexander sprays him with water. No. Anyway, they get off the boat. Oh, the other main, landmark of Tyr is the Stone of Tyr, which is described to us as... this stone building that's so big it's almost a mountain. That is, we're told, made with the power. So this would have been a long time ago. Because Aes Sedai are now not, I don't know if they're illegal, basically, in Tyr.
Pretty weird.
They talk about, the girls are no longer masquerading as Aes Sedai. They've got their rings tucked away. They're just trying to blend in, because, if they were Aes Sedai, then they would be watched the entire time. So it's not like being arrested, you're just under surveillance, which is also bad.
Yeah.
Especially because they're trying to be, sneaky.
Incognito.
But they are like, here we are. Edwine's like, let's just find an inn, and then, I don't know what we're gonna do. And Elaine's like, well, we should hire a thief taker like Hurin. Someone who, in Tyr, in Shinar, Hurin was basically a cop. More or less. He gets told to go after people. And in Tyr, it's the same function, but you can also be kind of a private investigator, so people can hire you out to, solve crimes or whatever. So that's the plan, is they're going to get a thief taker and stay somewhere. And Nynaeve's like, let's not stay in an inn. Let's stay somewhere else. And Edwine's like, well, where, bitch? And Nynaeve's like, I'll know it when I see it, bitch. And Elaine's like, why don't you both just calm down?
Yeah.
What if you both were just not like this right now?
I know, Nynaeve and Edwine have the weirdest angry sister relationship.
I don't fucking know what
it's
it is.
Very weird.
I think it is partly a failing of Robert Jordan trying to write women.
Yeah.
Because I've never really had much of a... Like, Edwine and Nynaeve come from having a close relationship. Not just, like, a sisterly relationship, but a working relationship. Edwine was basically Nynaeve's apprentice.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't just... I don't...
Snap at your coworkers on the daily.
Yeah, it's just like, we're all professionals here.
And it's like, I get it, they've been traveling for a long time, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just one of those
whatever
weird things.
It's just, I feel like it's one of those, like, this happens in books a lot. Well, it's like a trope where, like, members of the party won't get along because they've been traveling together for too long. And I feel like it's a fallback to create conflict in order to make, like, traveling sequences seem interesting. But you know what's not interesting? Watching people fight for pages on
that's
end.
actually the worst.
It's the opposite of interesting.
Like, you know what I like between party members is when they're all just, like, peaceful and happy, like in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Like, you remember that scene where Scene Bean tackles the hobbits?
Exactly.
Or the hobbits tackle Scene Bean?
Yeah.
And they're like, ah! And Boromir's like, my children!
Boromir's like, my sons!
He's just so fucking delighted.
Like, yep,
that's my boyfriend.
That's my boyfriend and our sons.
Lord of the Rings is good and pure.
It truly is.
Sean Bean is good and pure.
Nynaeve eventually leads them to this, what is actually a house, and she's like, oh, it's the home of the local wisdom, or whatever they call her here. And I can't even remember what they do call her.
Wise woman or something
Yeah,
like that?
she introduces herself as Mother Gwenna, but then immediately gives, like, pretty, after having a conversation with the girls, gives, like, her real name. So I guess Mother Gwenna is, like, a working title. It's very weird. Because that's the name she gives Matt, too. Yeah. But she lets them in, because Nynaeve's like, we need something for a sick stomach. And then she and Nynaeve start chatting about herbs and healing methods and various, you know, what do you do for a woman in labor, blah, 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 blah. And Edwine and Elaine are watching this like a tennis match.
Like Pong.
Yeah, and Edwine's getting more and more bored, and Elaine's probably like, this is delightful.
Like, I'm learning
so much about herbs.
When I have my 9,000 children
And
or
plants. Herbs aren't actually super useful for healing. Just want to make that clear.
I know, the entire time I was reading, like, we get to the part in the chapter where she's like, this is how you reset a broken bone by boiling some herbs in water and wrapping it with a warm cloth. And I'm like, Robert, you could have just invented medicine. Like, why aren't there doctors? Why are you like, you know what? I'm gonna make you really suspend your disbelief with bone knitting blue flowers.
It's just this very weird commitment to like the fantasy aesthetic of I have to have herbalism be part of this somehow. Like, since I want to embroil you in a world in which there is no modern medicine, I'm going to have to give you something primitive, but that also will allow me as author to write in whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I want someone to have a fever but then get well from the fever, then I'm going to be like, oh, and then someone gave them this herb.
Yeah.
And we can't question you because it's a made-up remedy.
We can't just be like, Tylenol.
Yeah, in reality, what I know of medical history, which having listened to a lot of a medical history podcast is some. Not a lot of herbs have, like, historically been used in a way that's productive. People have thought, oh, this herb seems to do something, but generally speaking, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in one case out of 10, the person got better, and so they were like, oh, it must have been the herbs. Must have been the herbs or whatever. Like, the only herbs that actually are good for anything are, like, aloe. Honey actually is I know it's not an herb, but honey has great medicinal properties.
Honey kicks ass.
I know.
Bees are the best.
Bees are just
Have you said thank you to the bees lately?
Go out there and say thank you to all of
plebeians.
them. Those little ladies. They're so beautiful.
Little guys, usually.
I thought all the worker bees were ladies.
Is that true? I don't know.
That's what I read in a book recently, but I don't know if
I believe you. I don't know anything about bees. I just love them.
I
want to hug all bees. I want to take a little cloud of bees.
I don't know if they want to hug you.
I just want a big cloud of bees that's like a yoga ball, and I just hug it.
Bees would react well to being hugged.
Have you ever hugged a bee? Maybe that's all they want.
That'd be pretty alarming.
Maybe they're just like, hug me!
Do you think that's what Godzilla was thinking as you were...
I just want to hug.
Let me get all of you.
I don't understand how it works, but I want one. Do I do this?
People are like,
Godzilla wants a hug.
That's
the bees
bees.
want to. And bees don't understand. They think they hug you with their butt. Okay, sorry.
Quick, everyone! There's a new YouTube tutorial on hugging. It says we don't do it with our butt. What?
With our arms.
Oh my god, my dad could teach them how to give hugs. My dad has made me learn how to give hugs.
What?
Have I not told you this?
No!
Through my entire life, because I have pretty, clear physical boundaries,
Yes.
have been I'm not too interested in giving hugs. But when I was younger, 10 or 11, my dad was like, I know you don't like giving hugs, but you're inevitably going to want at some point to give people hugs. Or you'll be forced into a situation where you have to hug your aunt or whatever on Thanksgiving. So you might as well know how to give good hugs. Not like my limp. I would dead fish
Yeah, you
when
do
people
sort
hug
of
me.
dead fish.
Well, sorry.
No, it's not a bad thing. You don't have to give hugs that you don't want to give.
Anyway, my dad made me learn how to give good hugs, and it was very obnoxious. Happy Father's Day.
Remember, you can't choose your father.
Gross.
But you can choose your daddy.
Gross. Okay, at one point in this chat, Elaine's like, excuse me, what would you do for two women who cannot stop arguing?
Yeah.
And this lady's like, basically, I would dunk them in water because they're being shits. Mm-hmm. And Nynaeve and Edwina are like, fine, point taken. Or not, because we're still gonna snipe at each other.
I know.
This woman is like, Nynaeve asks to hire one of her rooms, and she's like, oh yeah, you can totally stay here if you tell me what you're doing here. So Nynaeve, cleverly obscures the truth by using, vague language to be like, we're after some people who stole something from us. And, from our mother or whatever, meaning the Amerlin seat. Mm-hmm. And it's just this, silly thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, especially because the woman's like, where are your men? When did they come in?
She's like, this is men's work. And Nynaeve's like, anyone who could have gone has been killed. And this lady interprets that to mean, every man they know is dead.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. Is that too much of a tragedy?
No.
No. Probably be an easier world for all of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about the men in their life. Galen.
Yep.
Lan.
Rand.
Can
you believe Nynaeve named her horse after Lan?
Yeah.
Edwine's like, oh my god, she's so dumb and horny. And I'm like, for once, Edwine, I do agree with you on this. And Nynaeve's like, this creature I'm going to ride, I'll name it after my husband-to-be. And it's like, Nynaeve.
That's not very sad at all.
Could you be any more horny?
No.
But the Mother Gwenna goes off to fetch a thief taker, she says. Thief catcher? I can't remember.
Whatever.
So they're there for a minute, and Edwine makes a mean comment about how Nynaeve's just like, Moiraine, and then Elaine fucking slaps her.
Which I'm like, ah!
Yeah,
the scenes where Elaine just hits people are the only scenes that I like her. Remember the end of book 2 where she just, decks one of the Shanshin in the face?
Good. Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know if it's Elaine, that might be
Elaine gets all excited because one of the Duan. Sorry.
Anyway, so scenes where Elaine is involved in physical altercations are good scenes. Everything else, bad.
Elaine just, slaps her and is like, she's sensitive about that.
Yeah. How dare you've gone too far.
And Edwine's like,
I've thrown my gloves.
Fine, you're right. Fine. But doesn't apologize.
Because she's being a demon.
Yeah. Then Mother Gwenna comes back with none other than our boy Julian.
Who's going to be around for the next forever.
For God knows what reason.
Yeah.
He's introduced in this scene, and I remember reading it and being like, alright, this is a character I can get behind. He's got that private investigator vibe, that
plucky,
noirish,
smoking
aesthetic to him. But then he's just around for far longer than he needs to be doing nothing. So
Yeah.
he never solves a mystery.
Listen, I would understand if he was Tom's boyfriend. That's the only thing
true.
that makes sense.
That would make sense. They are together, basically, for the rest of time.
Basically, Julian's like, I guess I'll go with Tom.
Yeah, Julian's like, Tom, he's going where? I'll go with him.
And everyone's like,
okay, interesting.
yep. Is he, are they roommates?
Anyway, Julian's like, hello, I am here. I will hunt down these women for you, for the low, low price of, like, a few coppers.
Oh.
And then he was like, no, here's 13 silver, and you get 13 more silver if you find them, and then we'll retrieve our stolen goods. Julian's like, you don't have to do that, I can do it. And he was like, I want you to please, for once in your life, listen to me when I tell you these people are dangerous, like, legit dangerous. And Julian's like, okay, sounds fake, but okay. He's like, I'll behave as though they're dangerous. And then it's like the next chapter, Julian getting arrested by the Black Mafia or whatever.
It's like, again, the We Love Time show could be so funny if they just committed to it being fucking ridiculous. Yeah, if they're like, Julian's like, I get it, they're dangerous. And the next scene, he's being like pushed to the ground by Leandrin.
She's just like snaps her fingers. He goes down.
Goes flying through a door or something. Like, it could be so funny.
It could be so funny.
But instead, I feel like it's gonna be emo as all get out.
You cowards. Whatever. So he's like, fine, I get it. Then the ladies retire for the night. Well, a little later. They retire for the night, and Edwin uses the ring to go into Teleron Riyadh. She pretty much immediately goes into the heart of the Stone of Tyr, and it's creepy because Kalendor's there, and then all 13 Black Aja ladies are also there just staring at it. Yeah. And then they turn around and look at her and smile. And Edwin's like, and wakes up. Yeah. And Nynaeve's like, what was that? And Edwin's like, I just had the worst experience of all time.
Yeah.
It was a terrible nightmare.
That was yuck.
That was horrible. They know we're here, she says. And Nynaeve's like, aw, Dunk. Too bad. We had half a day of them not knowing we were here. Maybe. Yeah. It's just bad. It's a bad situation overall. These 3 ladies cannot take out 13 ladies. It's just like obvious math. I know Nynaeve's a nuclear bomb, but she hasn't really...
More like a well-controlled one.
Yeah, and she hasn't, come into her own yet. She won't do that until she's facing down Moghedien, and then it's like, oh, it turns out I'm fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like your rings.
Thank you.
Then we cut over to Matt, who is, of course, on a ship with Tom playing stones. And Tom is like, you could be good at this if you weren't so 80 fucking HD. Mm-hmm. And Matt's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
As he's bent over backwards looking at
something. Matt's doing the gay sit in a chair as weird as possible way. He's bored. He's like, when are we gonna get there? I'm so tired. The captain comes in and is like, good news, we are docking. And Matt's like, finally, get me out of this place. Mm-hmm. And they leave the ship. Matt has paid very well to hire basically the entire ship, which is ridiculous. And they emerge into Tyr in the dead of night, and it's storming. So just torrential rain coming down on them, which is a fun mood setter. And Matt's like, I'm going to find an inn and then go out after the girls. And Tom's like, no, or you could stay inside where it is dry and get some good sleep so you can think with your human brain. And Matt's like, that sounds fake. And also that dude has probably a day's head start on us, so I don't know. I'm very worried. Matt is very stressed.
Yeah, he's a stressy boy.
I know, in this chapter it's pretty endearing. But he is like, oh, the girls aren't going to be here in, the area outside the city because it's so muddy and stinky and they would never be caught dead here. And Tom's like, don't be so sure. And little do they know, yes, of course, they are there down the block, basically.
Literally. I think they, walk past it at some point.
Yeah. But they go into the cobbled, paved part of the city, past the walls, get to an inn, eat, drop off their stuff, and then immediately go back out. Oh my god, Matt initially is just carrying his fireworks over his shoulder like a little lunatic.
lunatic baby.
Tom's like, could you sell those, please? And Matt's like, I would never. These are my children. What are you talking about? These are my exploding
You know, I love
sons
his
and
aside
daughters.
where he's like, fireworks are no good in the rain. I know, because I dropped one in a bucket.
Yeah, and apparently he's just been doing experiments with fireworks on the ship.
So, like, everyone on the ship is like, we hate this crazy boy.
There's a boy in the depths of our ship who has explosives
Yeah.
and no regard for human life, including his own. It's a bad situation all around.
Yeah.
And Matt's like, but I've learned things.
I've learned things. One, there are tiny rocks inside of fireworks.
Fireworks, if they get wet, no good.
No
They're
boom.
like Colonel Roy Mustang in Full Metal.
You know you're useless when it rains.
Well, no, you're useless in a rain.
Dunk.
Dunk. And, I like his little aside about, like, I always thought they were lying to me when they said we couldn't set off fireworks in the rain. I thought they just meant because it wasn't a clear night that it wouldn't look as good. But no, they really don't work. Shocking.
He's like, Tam Althor was lying to me.
He's like, no, it turns out Tam Althor was telling the truth to me.
What?
I don't know what to do.
Trust him, man.
Matt's love of Tam Althor.
I know.
Matt mentions Tam more than he
His
mentions own dad. It is very
Even
funny.
though his own dad is, like, almost the best dad of all time.
Yeah, his dad is a very good dad.
Abel's a good dad.
Yeah, he's also just a delight to be around.
Just a horse dad.
Yeah,
Just sells horses.
just a clever boy.
Clever horse dad. Happy Father's Day.
So Matt goes into a few inns, like, systematically. They're asking around for both the girls and Kumar, our villain dude. And then at one point, Matt is kind of just plodding along thinking, and Tom is like, hey, we walked by, like, 3 inns. What are you doing? I think you're dead on your feet. And Matt has this little aside where it's like, oh, I really am tired. I just saw a dude who I thought was Rand. But Rand's 5,000 miles from here. And this is going to happen, like, 6 times with every character.
Yeah.
Rand can't be here.
Rand?
Is that Rand? What the fuck?
Have you seen my Rand?
Have you seen my Rand? Matt especially is like, Rand's not here.
Rand is not
You
here.
crazy.
Matt, you crazy. Girl, you crazy.
You hallucinating like you did with that dagger.
Matt's like, ooh, that dagger, though.
Oh my god.
Making me crazy.
Matt's like, okay, let's just go to one last inn. So they just walk into one, and of course Komar is sitting there, dicing with people, and then loudly, as soon as they leave the table, being like, who wants another game? And everyone is gazing at him like, we want to fucking murder you.
Yeah, but we can't.
But we can't. And Matt's like, okay, that seems pretty hostile for just, a dude in an inn. And he and Tom go and chat with the innkeeper and are like, what's the deal? And the innkeeper's like, oh, well, he's clearly, like, by the cut of his clothes, he is a wealthy dude, which must mean he's a merchant. And he's over here dicing with, like, people who are definitely less wealthy than he is.
Yeah.
So it's like he's breaking class barriers downward in a bad way.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, it's just, it puts you in a tier in a very good way. Yeah. Like, it builds the world of tier that there's this very class system, especially as Matt and Tom are like, oh, well, how is he winning? And this guy's like, I don't know, he's crazy lucky. He always rolls, 3 6s and 2 5s or whatever the equivalent is in fantasy land. And Tom's like, oh, well, he's probably using weighted dice. He's cheating. And Matt's like, you should call, like, the police, basically. And the guy's like, oh, I can't call the police because, again, he's in an upper class.
Yeah.
So we just, like, cannot do that. And Matt's like, what if I proved that he was cheating? And the guy's like, I don't really think that would work. And Tom's like, Matt, could you please think for more than 10 seconds? And Matt's like, too late, I'm already over there.
Matt's like, absolutely, the fuck not.
Me? Have a thought? A whole thought?
This is after Tom does his stupid trick with the dice.
Yeah, Tom shows us how you can use weighted dice and do, like, a trick of sleight of hand so that, the innkeeper is like, you can't be using weighted dice because they're using 2 sets of dice.
Well, they're using the same dice.
Oh, yeah, they're using the same dice. And Tom's, like, shows them how you can weighted dice in your pocket, basically, and swap them out. Mm-hmm. Just really quickly if you're quick enough. And that's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, there's also one really interesting thing that I noticed in this read-through that I don't think I quite caught in my first one, is that there's, like, really strict rules in Tyr about who can carry a sword, which is fascinating.
Yeah, like, there's a class thing.
Yeah. Because Elaine comments that Julian doesn't have a sword, and he's like, well, the fuck, of course I don't have a sword.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a lord, and I'm not in the army,
Yeah.
so I don't have a sword, I just make do. Julian's going around with a sword breaker, which I have never even been quite sure what that means. Just a sec, Emily Googles things.
Emily Googles things. I love that. That'll hopefully go
Sword
better than the last Sally Googles.
Breaker. Oh, that is not what I thought it was. Wikipedia calls it a parrying dagger. So it's not like a full sword. It is like an actual blade that's just notched.
Oh, that's crazy.
So basically, if you end up in a fight with a dude in a sword, that would be very good for, like, you just catch it in one of the notches and then you can twist the sword out of their grip. Mm-hmm. Like, it's actually a very clever weapon for disarming people. Mm-hmm. I just, for some reason, have always been imagining something wooden. I don't know why. Me too! But then Julian's also got a quarterstaff, so clearly that's kind of his offensive thing, because he uses his quarterstaff when he breaks in to the Stone of Tyr with Matt. But fun. Never knew what a sword breaker was, but now I do. A parrying dagger.
We do learnings.
That's clever. I want someone to have that.
I mean, like in...
like in Dungeons and Dragons or something. I don't know. I just think that's a cool weapon.
I'll get you a sword breaker.
Thank you. I would love to have one for all my sword fights that I get.
She does have a sword in her closet.
We can't talk about this. Yeah, so, like, there's a clear, like, the class difference is somewhat denoted by who who is not allowed to have a sword.
I just think that's, like, an interesting... Because it's, like, a very obvious metaphor. Like, when you have power, you have the ability to do violence. Yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is interesting.
And I bet swords are expensive, too, so there's, like, an economic thing to that as well.
But also, Tyr is just one of the most policed states that we visit. Like, there's the whole thing about Aes Sedai not being quite welcome there, and just, like, there's just so much more of the vibe of things are strict, and class differences are well-defined. Yeah. And there's always a threat of violence if you step out of line, etc., etc. It makes Tyr very, I don't know, sketchy, weird.
Yeah. It's like a frightening place to be.
Yeah. Guess they've all got their vibes. Chirion's got the Opticon. Panopticon, excuse me. The Panopticon vibe. Surveillance state, and this place is the Police Brutality State.
Yeah. The state of police brutality.
Which kind of makes sense because they have a fucking massive fortress where they house all the police and the nobility, like, right there. There's no possibility of revolution from the lower folks because this is an untakeable fortress.
Or so you think.
Anyway,
Matt Gaffon shows up with a bag of fireworks.
Matt sits down across from Komar, and Komar immediately is like, oh, you're just a farmer, because judging on clothes and the fact that Matt is using a quarterstaff. And it's just interesting, because Matt is always wearing not great clothes. Or he does start wearing good clothes, and then, it becomes just, like, sleeps in them until they're filthy.
Until they're disgusting. Because he's an idiot.
He's such a little... weasel. I don't know. But Komar rolls, clearly using the weighted dice, and Matt just snatches them up before Komar can take them back, thinking, if I throw the same toss, then we'll have to keep going, to decide a winner, and if it just keeps being the same thing, then that'll prove it's weighted dice. But Matt rolls the dice, and he says everything shifts.
Yeah.
He talks about how it feels like there are threads moving from the dice to other parts of the room, and then the dice land on, like, 5 6s, or the equivalent. And Matt just says, you lose, and it's so sexy.
Yeah, you lose.
And Komar's like, what the fucking? And Matt's like, where are the girls, Komar? And Komar's like, how do you fucking know my name? And Matt's like, fuck you, tell me where they are. Or Komar, like, starts to answer. He's like, I haven't even found them yet. And he's like, wait, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And Matt's like, you don't need to know who the fuck I am. But Komar also lets slip that there are other people after them. Yeah. He, like, gets up to draw his sword, and Matt shoves the table at him, and then Komar shoves the table right back.
Komar's a lot bigger than Matt.
Huge. But Matt manages to get his quarterstaff, and then Komar kind of knocks him over. It's a very fun sequence, and that he's, like, then trying to stab Matt, and Matt just gets his feet out under him and flips him over his head.
Yeah.
onto a table where he breaks his back on the edge of the table, which again is like horrifying, but is also just like luck. Matt has luck.
Luck on his side. Luck be a lady.
Yeah, luck be a lady.
This would be, again, going back to the show, one of the funnest fight scenes to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it would just be fun.
And it's just so sudden and so violent. It's very cool.
It's extremely violent.
Yeah, it's, like, disturbing, but, like, I don't know.
And then Comer's, like, bent at some nasty angle over the table. And it's like,
yeah, and Matt comes down and talks to him, and he's like, there's other ladies, you'll never find them before the girls get caught. And Matt's like, well, fuck you. And the innkeeper's like, you guys have to get out because the police are going to come. And I'll tell them it was someone else. I'll tell them it was a tall man with red hair and gray eyes. I've seen that dude in my dreams.
Like,
and rather than Matt being like, why is everyone fucking horny for Rand?
Even this innkeeper wants to bang this.
Innkeeper is just in everyone's goddamn sex dreams or whatever. But he and Tom flee, and Matt says, it's actually a very tender moment. They're, like, walking away, and Matt's like, I realized that, like, it's all, like, my luck is strongest when it's random. Like, we immediately found Komar in this inn as soon as I stopped trying, basically. So that's the system I'll use to, I'll
find the ladies.
I'll exploit my own luck in order to find the girls. And Tom is like, okay, but we have to go home, and, like, pulls Matt's hood on over his face. He's like, you're getting wet. And Matt's like, thank you, my dad. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Oh.
I know, at the end of this, I'm like, Matt, just go to sleep.
I know, I'm just, like, in Tom's head for a moment there with my, like, lanky boy.
Who just did a violent murder.
And now is just, like, clearly in shock, but also soaking wet and, like, muttering about luck and random chance. And Tom's just like, okay, this is I have to care for this.
This is my tool,
Idiot.
boy.
I have to keep him from getting hypothermia. Although Tom is now the one who gets pneumonia or whatever. Matt kind of narrates, like, they do this for the next 3 days and nights, just go into inns at random and kind of ask around. And Tom is getting slowly sicker, and Matt is not sleeping and not really eating, except when he remembers. And his dreams are starting to get creepy, like everyone else's in tears. And that's how we end. Dun, 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 dun. It's just such a good, like, sequence lead up into, like, and now we're in tear. I
know. I do love this sequence where all of our people
are coming into tear and sort of skirting around each other.
That can't be Rand.
That can't be Rand. Is that Matt? Do we have any housekeeping?
No, just because you guys are crazy, apparently over on our Patreon we're going to be reading and discussing Till We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis, which I'm very excited to read. I'm just shocked that that's what you guys voted for.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the rationale behind that.
I am genuinely excited to read it. It just is, like, cracking me up on a daily basis that you guys voted for that over, like, the Foxhole Court. I don't know. It's just very funny to me.
That should come out this Thursday.
Yeah, when this comes out.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone who voted and to everyone who supports us on Patreon. It helps the podcast a lot. Thank you.
Thank you to Glenna McKenzie for our theme song. It's a delight. We're so happy. This is my reminder to put it in.
Yeah. I don't really have a sign-off. I figured the one you talking about, your dad teaching you how to hug, is like a mid-podcast sign-off.
Oh, okay.
Unless
so then,
you want to have...
Well, then how do we end the podcast?
I mean, we can... I don't know. It's a lot of pressure. I can think of something. Hold on. Lots of dramatic things happened to me.
Okay. We could talk about when we went to brunch on Sunday. They told us it would be like a 45-minute to an hour wait, which is pretty typical for Salt Lake City brunch places. But there was like this little weird thrift store, antique store, like right next door. So we just went in there to wander. Anyway, Sally found some good rings, and there was a very good couch. But I also found a mug in the shape of a clown. Mm. And that right there was the most haunted thing I've ever seen.
It was very haunted.
And it continues to haunt my dreams like Randall Thor haunts the residents of Tyr.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It's the tall ginger ghost.
Clowns are the worst.
Rand is a clown.
Oh, that was fun. Ronald McDonald, red hair.
Goodbye.
Bye.